Very interesting. We'll definitely talk about this system thinking principles that we spoke. But when we're talking about sailing currently and we're talking about Nagapattinam, can you tell us what is happening in Nagapattinam? Why are we talking about suddenly sailing and that too in Nagapattinam? How do these two relate and what is happening currently?
If we just look back into history, we realize that more than 2000 years back, the Cholas, the huge empire, and they were all based in Nagapattinam. The Nagapattinam seaport was critical for them. And today, when we look at Nagapattinam, we probably realize that we are not doing what our ancestors were doing 2000 years back. People hardly venture into the sea except the fishermen. Yeah. So I feel that there's a strong connect for Nagapattinam based on their history, and we should definitely revive these traditional skills of sailing, going out on a boat for the purpose of leisure and for the purpose of sport. Yeah, and I was on an expedition last year, and first time we went sailing from Chennai to Nagapattinam.
Hello everyone, I'm Vidya and today we have with us Mr. Vivek Shanbag. He's an airline pilot. He has over 23,000 hours of flying experience. He has trained 1,000 plus pilots. Not just that, he has also evacuated many Indians from war zones. Before we take this conversation any further, I would love to hear from you, Vivek. Can you please let us know about what have you been doing and what are you doing currently?
Yeah. Hey, thanks Vidya for this opportunity. And by profession, I'm an airline pilot. I fly the big aeroplanes, and as you mentioned, I've been very experienced. I've trained hundred of students into flying training, and by passion, I'm a sailor. So I go out into the sea and I do sailing. I'm also at the Royal Madras Yacht Club. I'm their honorary secretary, and that is where I involve myself into sailing.
Very interesting. So, I think this is one question that everyone might relate to aviation and sailing. Can you tell us a little bit about how did these two come together?
Hey, good question. Actually, you see, human beings are supposed to be on the land. Birds fly, yeah, fishes swim, and we are by nature we are expected to be on the land. Yeah. So look at sailing, we go out in the sea, and when look at flying, we go in the sky. So both these things are not natural for us. So it also means that there are some risks involved. Yeah. And the sport of either aviation or sailing becomes safe only when the risks are mitigated and taken care. In fact, today aviation is the safest means of travel, which means that if anybody travels 1 million kilometers, the chance of meeting with the accident is the highest when you're probably on a bike or probably when you're walking, but not in aviation. Yeah. So there's a huge misconception. We feel that the risk is more in aviation, not at all. Similarly, sailing is also very safe, provided we take certain precautions and safety measures. So both aviation and sailing, there's something very similar. Yeah, and both of them have the same principle called Bernoulli's principle. Just like the wings on an aeroplane, that is what makes the aeroplane fly. Similarly, we have a sail on the boat, which makes the boat propels into the wind by the help of the sail. The principle is the same. So both are really safe, provided we take all those safety precautions.
Very interesting. We'll definitely talk about this system thinking principles that we spoke. But when we're talking about sailing currently and we're talking about Nagapattinam, can you tell us what is happening in Nagapattinam? Why are we talking about suddenly sailing and that too in Nagapattinam? How do these two relate and what is happening currently?
If we just look back into history, we realize that more than 2000 years back, the Cholas, the huge empire, and they were all based in Nagapattinam. The Nagapattinam seaport was critical for them. They used to undertake a lot of voyages into Southeast Asia, all the way up till China, and probably even to Rome and all that. So Nagapattinam has got significant history. Yeah, it's got a sailing culture. 2000 years back, it was a very bustling town with so much of maritime activity, naval activity, probably the first time in the world. And today, when we look at Nagapattinam, we probably realize that we are not doing what our ancestors were doing 2000 years back. People hardly venture into the sea except the fishermen. Yeah. So I feel that there's a strong connect for Nagapattinam based on their history, and we should definitely revive these traditional skills of sailing, going out on a boat for the purpose of leisure and for the purpose of sport. Yeah, and I was on an expedition last year, and first time we went sailing from Chennai to Nagapattinam. Beautiful place, nice harbor. It's got so many protected and safety features. And when I learned about the history of Nagapattinam, it was like natural that something should be started in Nagapattinam, keeping in mind the background and the history.
Okay, so what is happening? Nagapattinam, do we have an
Hey,
institute?
yes.
Who are we serving? Are children coming in? What is happening?
Correct. In fact, to tell you frankly, the fastest growing sailing club right now, the progress I've seen is at Nagpattinam. Yeah, this may be a little shock for people. I visited Nagpattinam on the expedition. We went out, we came back in, we met the collector, and then we realized that the collector had learned sailing in Chennai in Royal Madras Yacht Club. Yeah,
Okay,
so immediately he was able to understand the potential of sailing, and in no time, the Nagapattinam port gave us a warehouse which belongs to the Tamil Nadu Maritime Board. Yeah,
okay,
the board gave us a warehouse, and immediately the Royal Madras Yacht Club said, "We'll do the hand holding and put up a club for you." Yeah, we gave them some of our boats, we gave them a pontoon, and we started some training for the children.
okay,
And in fact, it was also inaugurated by the Honorable Deputy Chief Minister. So I've never seen such fast progress anywhere. Yeah, so there's a fully functional warehouse, classroom, boat shed, washrooms for boys and girls. They have a lovely pontoon given by us. There's a gangway leading to the pontoon. They have purchased their own 10 Optimist boats. The Optimist boats are the boats for the children to start. So I've never seen so much progress in a short span of less than 1 year. And we, as a Royal Madras Yacht Club, will do the hand holding. We'll send our coaches. Already there, they have recruited somebody and sent to Chennai to train. So the progress, the speed of progress has been phenomenal, something remarkable indeed. Yeah,
okay. So when I hear you talk about how there are a lot of resources allocated in Nagapattinam to promote this kind of sport, but sailing is also beyond sport, right? It builds a lot of life skill in children. It offers a lot of entrepreneurship opportunities, a lot of opportunities with respect to sports and the careers that come along with it. So can you talk a little bit about that? What does this, how significant is this sport for the youth
you
and also for the district with respect to
correct.
international relationships, trade, whatever it is?
Hey, see, when I was a child, I'll tell you very frankly, my parents expected me to study. Yeah. First is we have to study. If you don't study, it is understood there is something wrong. Yeah. So that's how things were. The focus was on studies, and sports never had priority. Yeah. But times have changed. Nowadays, parents are willing to drop out their children from schools and push them into sports only. So there's a huge difference in how the parents are looking at sports. Yeah. So, having said that, the next question comes, why should I take sailing as a sport? Why not tennis? Why not badminton? Why not swimming? There's so many sports, yeah. And all these sports, they do two things to children. One is children learn to shoulder responsibilities when they take to sports. And also the children become very confident when they take to sports, yeah. So that is something, these are like life skills. Over a period of time, your confidence shows in your nature, the way you handle a job, the responsibilities that you shoulder. Sports people are always much better. Yeah. So every sport does this. It builds confidence and it also allows children to handle responsibilities. But when it comes to sailing, it's got an edge. Yeah, it is far superior to the other sports. Now you may ask why? Why is it that sailing is superior to other sports? Well, I'll give a very small example. Yeah, let's say today you are riding a two-wheeler. Yeah, the government is expecting that you should be of 18 years of age. Only then you get a license. Because when you ride a two-wheeler, you have a responsibility for yourself, your life, then the people around you. So it's a responsibility which the government feels that when you're 18 years, you are mature enough to handle them. Now, when you take sailing, you will not believe it, a child as young as 7 years can actually take a boat by themselves in the water. Yeah. So when you go out in the water, that child is responsible for their life, then the other boats around them, and all these responsibilities are being taught at 7 years of age. Yeah. It's quite possible when the boat goes out, there'll be a minor snag in the boat. Yeah, you can't stop the boat and walk and come back. You have to rectify, repair, or you should be able to handle that particular issue and then come back. So this is where that confidence builds. So sailing has definitely a big edge compared to other sports.
So when you talked about how these children are skilled enough and they get trained as young as 7 years old, I also remember reading that you have led multiple expeditions to different places, and there was also an all-women team expedition that you led. So can we expect youth from Nagapattinam going on an expedition and you leading the mission?
Hey, good. See, one thing is children always look for inspiration. Yeah. So Nagapattinam naturally has got a history which is enough to inspire anyone. No town in the country or probably no town in the world can have the history what Nagapattinam has got. So once the children are aware of their history, what their ancestors were doing 2000 years back, that's a source of great inspiration for them. Yeah. And when we did this expeditions in the Bay of Bengal, probably the Royal Madras Yacht Club was the first club which has actually gone on expeditions from Chennai to Pondicherry, then Pumpuhar, Karaikal, Nagapattinam, and all the way to Sri Lanka. Yeah. In fact, a couple of years back, we trained the Tamil Nadu policemen. Yeah, we have this coastal security group, the Marine Police. Yeah, so we trained them and took them on an expedition to Rameshwaram. Now the police women they got inspired. They said, "Listen, even we have to do something." Yeah, and we celebrated the 50th year of women in Tamil Nadu Police. So they wanted to do something spectacular, something different, which nobody's ever done. So the DGP at that point, Dr. Shalendra Babu, IPS, he said, "Why not these women do one sailing expedition?" So they came to our club, about 40 of them, right from the ADGP till the junior most women. We trained them, and the results were remarkable. Yeah, we took them on an expedition. They did exceedingly well. I can't actually tell you, but they did better than the men. Yeah. So that was something remarkable. Credit goes to the resilience of the Tamil Nadu women. They not only don the police uniform, but they can also go into the sea and conduct successful expeditions.
So definitely we are going to see some Nagapattinam youth also doing expedition soon.
Yes, yes.
I wanted to ask here a little bit about what will change for a district like Nagapattinam if we promote this sport and if we have to invest more resources. Why should anyone do that? Why should we promote this beyond looking at it at sport? What will significantly change for Nagapattinam, say
Yeah.
for 5 years from now?
Hey, good. So let's look at this from 2 points of view. Yeah, every government takes over a responsibility of promoting sports. Yeah, so there are revenues allocated to it, and we have to ensure that for the given revenue, you get the maximum benefit and output. It's but natural. India is a country where our resources are always less, and we have huge challenges. Yeah. So now let's look at a sport like sailing in Nagapattinam. Yeah. Let's say to begin with, we train only the fishermen children. One big advantage is they're so used to the sea every day. There's no element of fear for them. They don't have that uh, getting scared of the sea. Naturally, they take to water. So, sailing will be a sport where they'll be very confident and pick up the skills very fast. And we did this experiment in Chennai in the Royal Madras Yacht Club. We trained some underprivileged children, and believe me, in 6 months' time, those children are actually competing in events where the other children have been practicing for 3 years. Not only competing, they're winning. Yeah. So that shows the potential for the fishermen children because their fear of water is not there. Yeah. And Nagapattinam is a very small town. And when we spoke to the collector, we said, okay, let us start with the fishermen children. So that will be a great way of inspiring them to take to a new sport. Yeah. Now, like I told you, everywhere our resources are always challenged. Yeah, you want children to play tennis, you have to invest lakhs of rupees, probably crores of rupees in a tennis court.
Cool.
Yeah, you want to play cricket, it's a different story itself. Yeah, even though everybody wants to play cricket because the focus is on cricket, you can't be building stadiums. They cost hundreds of crores of rupees. Yeah. Now, when you look at sailing, a typical boat for a small child is called an optimist boat. One boat will cost about 2 lakh rupees, and that boat can be used by so many children. Yeah, so you'll realize that the investment you make on sailing is definitely distributed to so many children. So the cost per child actually comes down. Yeah. And the sea is the place where we learn sailing. That is natural. You don't have to build anything. The water is there, the sea is there. So the resource already is there. You don't have to do anything at all. So we have to take a few safety precautions, like I mentioned, and we are able to train coaches in no time. Yeah. And we have a rescue boat system. Since this Royal Madras Yacht Club is also a training center certified by the Yachting Association of India,
Mm.
which is a national body. So we have our SOPs in place, our standards in place. So it's very easy for us to handhold and repeat something in Nagapattinam. We plan to start with the fishermen children, and nothing succeeds like success. Yeah, you train some children, put them to a national event, and with the win prizes, in no time you realize that the sport becomes more and more popular. We are very confident about this because already in Chennai it is showing. The Cholamandalam Finance is sponsoring some children. The Chennai port was interested because they also saw the work being done. So now they're also sponsoring their port school children. So we have learned that these children can definitely take up in a big way. Tamil Nadu has got 1,000 kilometers of coastline. So always ask people, what are you doing about it? Yeah, we just watch the sea and go back home. Sailing is one place I feel that huge potential is there to perform and to excel also. Hmm.
Thank you so much. It was an interesting aspect when you mentioned about how the unit cost per child. I wanted to ask about that actually. It still feels very fancy. Sailing is very fancy. Cricket is like a next door game
Yes,
because you talked about cricket or any other game. We
true, true.
we procure materials from around and we still manage to have a bat and
Yeah,
a couple of wickets. But when you talk about sailing, and you mentioned about sponsorship, but I'm just looking at this as an ecosystem. How accessible is it for me, not just from the fisher community, but for anyone to want to get into this, either for passion or for opportunities?
correct.
How accessible is it?
Good, very interesting question because our concept of elite and common in is actually based on what we see. If you see something on a daily basis, it is common. If you see something rarely, it becomes elite. Yeah. So, like I said, we have 1,000 kilometers of coastline in Tamil Nadu, but we don't seem to be doing anything. So, sailing looks elite because hardly anybody is sailing in the water. Yeah. Our club, the Royal Madras Yacht Club, has made a conscious decision that we will take this sport to the common man and show that it is not an elite sport. Anybody can sail. The ocean is for everyone. Bay of Bengal is for everyone. Yeah, nobody can stake claim on it. So our job is to ensure that this sport is reaching out to everyone. Now, next comes the cost. Yeah, we are very cost conscious. Like if you want to play tennis and you want to go to the nationals, there's a cost involved. Yeah, probably the cost involved is in lakhs of rupees. Yeah, because when you have to compete at the nationals, there's huge competition at the state level itself. Yeah, at the state level to excel, you require coaches, you require so much of training in tennis that you have to discontinue school. There's a huge price you're paying. For a period of time, you're spending lakhs of rupees, and there's no guaranteed result that your child is going to go to the nationals. You take any sport, parents are spending lakhs and lakhs of rupees with no guarantees that they will compete in the nationals. Now, when you look at sailing, the same child, if you want to go up to the nationals, yeah, the costs are comparatively much lesser, probably a tenth of what you could be spending on other sports to go to the nationals. Yeah, so that is one advantage of sailing. It's the advantage is simple because we only have about 6 to 7 sailing clubs in the country, and the Royal Madras Yacht Club is the most happening club. We do the maximum sailing in the country. We got clubs in Bombay, then in Hyderabad, Bhopal, as well as Goa. Beyond that, we don't seem to be having clubs at all. So the competition becomes lesser. So you are able to spend more time in your academics, less time on the sport, and still go up to the nationals. So that is one advantage for children. It does not impact their academics. At the same time, the costs are comparatively less to go up to the nationals. But the feeling is it's an elite sport because it is not popular. So our vision is to make sure the sport is popular. So we got a RMYC in Ennore. It's called Royal Madras Yacht Club Ennore Center. Similarly, Royal Madras Yacht Club Nagapattinam Center. And if the government helps us. We can have one sailing club in every fishing harbor. So
Interesting.
that is the reach of this sport. And if you look at the Asian Games, every Asian Games, India gets medals in sailing.
Hmm.
We may not get medals in other sports, but consistently, every Asian Games, we get medals in sailing. Olympics, we have started representing the country in Olympics. The scope is huge and it is within reach of everyone. That elite feeling is what we are here to remove that feeling of eliteness. Yeah.
That is very interesting. Given that it has a lot of opportunities, it gives global visibility to Nagapattinam or the youth here. What are the different infrastructure that's already available, and what are we currently doing with those infrastructure?
Correct. So the infrastructure for a sailing club is very minimal. You require a jetty. Yeah, a jetty is a small floating platform on the water, very eco-friendly. Yeah, it's not permanent; it is removable. So you have a floating jetty, and you can keep the small boats on it. Then you have to reach the jetty by means of one gangway. Yeah, the steps or the slope to reach it from the ground is called the gangway. That's the equipment you need, and then you need some rescue boats. A simple rescue boat is what the fishing folks are using. You put a 10 or a 20 HP engine. That's a rescue boat in which the coach is there and the other staff are there. They're able to train the children. And in case there's an emergency, they're able to handle it. All children wear a life jacket. So, life jacket is something that makes you float in the water. So, the swimming requirement is not there, that you have to know swimming. Yeah, very safe. On a very hot day, children love to be in the water. They jump off the boat, get into the water, feel good, and they come back on the boat. Yeah. So infrastructure wise, very minimal is required. The other couple of sports nowadays gaining a lot of popularity. So one of them is kayaking. Yeah, and the other one is stand-up paddling. Kayaking, you must have seen the kayaks for one person, kayak for two people, and this is a sport even a tourist can take part. You just have to sit in the kayak and paddle. So very easy to do. Sailing obviously requires a little bit of skill. You require a few sessions to learn sailing. Stand-up paddling is also picking up beautifully. So stand-up paddle is a small platform. You can stand on it and paddle. Standing, you can paddle on either side and move around. So these activities I feel are the investments are low, but the returns are very high. Stand-up paddling, our Tamil Nadu sailors have gone up to international competitions and won places. Sailing, obviously, we are winning medals, national, international, and also surfing. That's also one hobby where the requirement, investment is less and the achievements are more. So, a place like Nagapattinam, I feel that these are the places that the children should be uh, encouraged to take part and excel. Yeah.
Currently, where is Nagapattinam? Are we doing only sailing? Are there also surfing classes that you offer? What are the different things that you
Yes.
are doing?
So we have to start from somewhere. So we said, let's start with sailing because that is a place where I'm confident. Yeah. And in no time, these other facilities will surely come up because it's a place with huge potential in terms of safety, protected waters, and access to the sea. So it's just a question of time. You start somewhere with a seed, and in no time, you'll see everything sprouting. Yeah.
Very interesting. Can we also talk a little bit about more than sports and representing Asian Games or Olympics, representing the district or state or even the country, right? Apart from that, when we look at sports, it also offers a lot of career opportunities. And we hear about getting placed in railways and all of those
Correct, correct.
elements. So, when we are talking about sailing, what are the different employment opportunities that the youth will be able to avail?
See, you start sailing, getting into the nationals is comparatively easier to other sports. Yeah, winning also, you have to push yourself. So, winning is not guaranteed. Winning, you really have to push yourself, develop those skills and tactics and a whole lot of things. But definitely, we're doing well. In fact, in my club, the Royal Madras Yacht Club, the present optimist Indian championship is one Mr. Krishna, is just about 12 years old kid. And we had an international event with more than 13 countries participating, and he came first. So that's the potential of sailing. Yeah. Now, looking at job opportunities, when you go and participate in the nationals, you come into the sports quota. So what it means is you want to do your higher education, automatically you have sports quota in engineering, medical, and all that. And when you get job, again, there's a sports quota. All this public sector, private sector, every year the Indian Navy and the Indian Army advertises. If you have participated in a sailing national, they give you jobs. They give jobs for children who are in 8th and ninth standard.
Oh,
Yeah. So they actually take you into the Navy or the Army and they continue your education. And after you finish your education, you continue to sail and they get absorbed in the services. So that's a
okay.
great advantage in sailing. You just have to compete in the nationals and you get eligibility to get jobs in Army, Navy, apart from public sector, private sector. And one good thing is the sports awareness has come up in our country. Yeah, which means that these people, the sailors who have gone out to the nationals, a lot of avenues open up for them. Many places, even the private sector, they are looking for people with sporting background, because somewhere that concept has gone strong, that a sports person will be more confident and handle responsibilities. Yeah, so that advantage is being acknowledged in the industry, and sports person are definitely getting good opportunities in terms of jobs. And one more thing is, in the sailing, if children are really good, at some point they can become a coach. Huge demand for coaches, huge demand for training personnel. Some of the sailors who have done well for the country, they're all employed in Europe, in the US, as well as the Gulf for very high salaries. Yeah, so huge advantages in learning sailing in terms of job opportunities for sure.
When you were telling, I was just thinking about the books that small children will have, and there will be list of professions that are there. And whenever we look at these books, and when we say sailing or firefighters, and it's like, oh, it's very foreign term. But
Yeah,
now that you're saying about the potential district like Nagapattinam has, I think that sailor profession is not a foreign looking job
correct.
anymore. Thank you so much for throwing light on that.
Thanks.
I think if we have to strengthen this more, if we have to position this more, what more is required? And when I ask this question, I'm not just talking about the infrastructure. It could be about having more partnerships. It could be about creating more awareness about it, talking more about the opportunities that come with it. So, where do we need to focus? And who all needs to come together to position this even more
Correct.
significantly?
See, now let's say Nagapattinam does a lot of sailing. All the children are excelling in sailing. Yeah, everything is going well. How will it help? To a large extent, it will help Nagapattinam. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. But what I always see as a vision, we should also train people in different fishing harbors. Yeah. When I was going to Nagapattinam, we stopped in Pumpar. Great place. Yeah. Very close to Nagapattinam. Lovely place. And they got a nice fishing harbor. Again, lovely infrastructure to promote sailing. And Tamil Nadu has got so many minor ports and fishing harbors. And with a very small capital investment, we can actually have sailing clubs in all these fishing harbors. Yeah. Then immediately what happens? There are competitions now. Okay, Nagpattinam Sailing Club is competing with maybe Pumpuhar or maybe Karaikal or some other thing. So the sport gets a lot of momentum, and that is when you realize the quality of the sport goes up. Yeah. So there is a small advantage in training in Nagpattinam, but huge advantage in training in different places. So obviously, you are creating a pool of sailors, and the competition is going up. And when there is competition, you see that the skills and children excel. Yeah. So it's a complete ecosystem that you are developing. And the best part is sailing is environmental friendly. Sailing is only using the wind and the waves. Yeah. And today we also realize that the sea is polluted. All of us are aware, plastic, chemicals, everything is getting into the sea. And at the back of the mind, we always feel we should do something, but we are not connecting with the sea. Now, let's say children start sailing. The parents come to the club. When the parents come to the club, maybe they see the plastic in the water, they see the pollutants. Immediately, feeling comes, hey, my child is sailing over there, and I think we have to clean up the sea. So that awareness comes because you're connected with the sport. So, sailing is one way that you can actually make people environmental friendly. That's the first step in cleaning up the oceans or reducing our pollutants and all that. So, if we get about this sailing and make people aware, automatically our pollution will be under control. That I feel is a huge advantage for this sport. completely carbon friendly. Yeah.
Mhm. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think as you shared this, what was crossing my mind was, as much as it sounds very fancy and aspirational and talks about how we are placed at a global market, but it also talks about the collective responsibility that we all hold,
Correct.
because nothing can sustain until all of us come together for the same cause. I think thank you so much for beautifully touching upon that. Thank you, Vivek. I think when we read the bio and we were talking about aviation, I was like, okay, we will be talking about aviation and flying experience, and suddenly we're talking about sailing, and you have shared what all have we achieved as a country and so many things that you mentioned. It was truly inspirational. I have fear of water, otherwise I might have considered, but I'm definitely going to talk about surfing classes, and definitely now that it is accessible in Nagapattinam, definitely going to talk a lot more about it. And I think all of us are going to pay a lot more attention to what is happening and how much it can position. So, any closing thoughts from you? What do you
No,
want to tell?
actually, what you said is right. When I go and meet somebody, and I have in my mind that I should talk about sailing, yeah. But when I say I'm a pilot, people say, okay, okay, you tell us about aviation now, yeah. The conversation goes to aviation because definitely it is something that everybody wants to know more about aviation. So it's always a challenge for me to steer the conversation back to sailing because that is what is my purpose. But definitely, it's a good combination, yeah. You attract the attention through the aviation. The principles are same, so it's very easy to connect aviation with sailing. But as you told, people immediately jump to the conclusion we are talking about
Yeah.
aviation. Sailing is equally adventurous and exciting. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much for this conversation and sharing a lot of your insight.
Thanks.